You're a little dusty there. Okay, take two. Hello everybody and welcome back to Reachin Reverie. My name is Alex and thank you for choosing this video to watch today. So we have had a couple of weeks, a week, maybe 2 weeks since I've recorded the last video because we have been pushing really hard to get all moved in to this property full-time. So every day after work we've been, working. Josh has 2.5 full-time jobs. I have a full-time job, and so we have been pushing really hard, basically going to work throughout the week, getting off work and putting in a few hours on the shop and rinse and repeat. So we are now just about moved in. Today is going to be our final day at the duplex, where I'm basically just going to run over there and deep clean the inside so that it is prepared for us to lock that door and close that chapter on our lives. And then Josh will probably head back into town to help me load up the final few articles that are in the yard. We do have a couple rolls of hardware cloth and chicken wire and some just miscellaneous outdoor items to collect, and then we will be officially moved out of our property in town and moved in to the property. Here we are. We brought some plants from the other house in town. We have a bunch of bird of paradise plants that we're going to plant throughout the property. These are perennial shrubs that attract pollinators, and so we are going to plant these around the property. I have 12 really nice, beautiful ones. This is Evie's dog yard. It's essentially like an 8x10 where she can use the bathroom, but we do still bring her all over the property with us walking, so she gets plenty of exercise there. But this is kind of her, as I'm getting ready in the morning, I can let her outside and not worry about her running off or getting picked off by wild animals. I essentially just pull the roll as the door and then open it when I let her out. We will be eventually fencing in this entire area here and taking this down, so she will have a larger yard eventually, but that does make it a lot easier for me getting ready for work in the morning, not having to walk out with a leash on the middle of the property in the dark, because we do have a large squadron of wild hog that roam the property in the dark wee hours of the morning. And Josh and I really had a close first-hand experience with those wild hogs the other day, where we were out taking Evie out to potty and there were hogs on the property all around us. And when I say hogs, like we're used to javelinas, which are really small pig-like creatures that kind of mind their own business, which can be dangerous when provoked as well. But we also have feral hogs, and they were all around us. We heard them on the leach field, we heard them right next to the RV out here where our orchard is going to be, and we saw them running by, and it just makes me really uncomfortable to have to walk my dog with a little flashlight and have 20 big, large, aggressive wild animals surrounding us. So it makes me feel a lot safer that I can come out, put Evie in a little pen, get ready for work, and then come and bring her in without having to walk out into the property to do our business. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys this morning is Josh is working on building our chickens a little chicken run that is going to be predator proof, and then we also plan on having a small chicken coop on the back. We do only have 3 chickens remaining from my flock. I have largely given away the majority of our flock, and the others that were elderly have passed on, and so we are down to 3 geriatric, non-laying, very friendly pet chickens that I can't give away for free because they're not producing. And so we are bringing them along with us to the property while I run into town to finish deep cleaning the duplex. Josh is going to be out here working on building the chicken run and the chicken coop. And look at this. Right here at my feet, there's hog prints. So that's an idea of how close they are getting to where we are. So yeah, Josh is right now cutting wood. He is working on building a door, which he framed out. And if you're not familiar with chickens, when I say chicken run and chicken coop, the two types of structures that we're talking about is a coop, which will be on the back. Pick up my trash. Get stuff blowing all over with construction. Keep that from blowing away. So when you hear the words chicken run and chicken coop, if you're not familiar with chickens, a coop, which is not here yet, but it will be right here, is essentially their house that we can close them in at night so that they can be completely safely contained, away from the weather. And a run is like an outdoor structure where it's basically like their yard, where they can be safe and protected from predators. It is kind of small. The run is where my chickens are going to be while we are away from the property, like at work or running errands, so that we know that things like foxes and coyotes and whatever, hawks, aren't going to eat the chickens. We'll keep them in the run. When we are home, we'll probably open up the door and let them free range on the property. And while he's working on that chicken run, I just wanted to show you guys again. Look at this. Now, I've mentioned this in a prior video, but they are close. When I say we have these hundreds of pounds animals, these hogs are over here rooting right next to the road. Like, look at that. That's 10 feet from where we park our car. The RV is right there. So before Josh built me that little dog yard for Evie, I was taking her at night walking around this way, and we were walking out kind of to the end of our road to go potty, and that's essentially right where the trail is, where the hogs go, and didn't even realize it until the other night when Josh and I were outside walking Evie out there, and the hogs were right next to us. And in the mornings, Josh usually goes to work before I do, and so sometimes I'm out there by myself with Evie, and not very comfortable with that situation. All right, so here back in town at our duplex, you can see we've already moved out the garden beds. We are gonna leave our landlord that one garden bed there. It's a 2 foot by, I think it's a 2 by 3 foot bed. And we're leaving that one there because it's all wood, and since we have such a high termite load at the new property, we figured we'd leave her that one, and that way she can have a little garden for her next tenant if they would like. We took out all of the soil in the pots that had our olive trees, and then I also took all the soil that was in our pepper bed, but we are leaving the soil that was in our 2 8 by 3 foot beds because we were gifted horse fertilizer a couple years ago. It was like horse manure as a fertilizer for the garden, and didn't do a whole lot of research there, put it in the gardens, and since then, the past 2 years, the beds that we had the horse manure in have done really, really poorly. So we do think that that horse feed, whatever the horses were eating, that hay perhaps had been sprayed with pesticides, was contaminated, and so we are not taking that soil with us because things just haven't really grown really well in it. So this was like a grass yard when I moved in, so we are just leveling out all of the soil that was in these beds, throw down some grass seed, and we're actually going to also be leaving our irrigation system here. So speaking with the landlord, she can run the irrigation lines over the yard, and it's like a dripper system, and grow some nice grass in here. So we'll be hopefully leaving it better off than if we had just taken everything and left little mulch paths around. So at least now it'll be kind of one step closer in the direction of growing grass, which has grown pretty well in this garden bed. Other than that, we've taken all of our cattle panels we had. There's an old clothesline frame right here that I had a cattle panel on that kind of separated this into 2 yards. We took our greenhouse. There was also a cattle panel along this wall that I was growing tomatoes up. The tomatoes that were on the house had probably 10 feet this year. They grew up, came back down to the ground, growing back up. So they grew really well in that bed, but all of the tomatoes in my horse manure bed did not survive. So that's the outside. Things we still have to take with us. We are going to be getting down our chicken wire and hardware cloth. Josh is going to be using this to wrap the chicken run. Our chicken yard is not super beautiful, but we did have a large shade structure right here that protected most of the chicken yard from sun, and we went ahead and have already taken that out. We are giving this coop to our landlord. She is going to be buying that automatic door from us. So when we move out to the property, I won't have an automatic door. We'll end up investing in one in the future. But this automatic door is hardwired to the electric. We have an electric conduit going up to the house. And so we're going to go ahead and leave this here, and she's all set up to have chickens in here in the future, or if she wants to move it. And we'll invest in a battery operated chicken door at the property. We also have over here a chicken run that we have raised meat chickens in the past, but we talked to the landlord and she's going to go ahead and keep this as well, instead of us tearing it down and taking it with us. We did set it up in a way that it would be pretty easy to move, in that, like, for example, the 4x4 here is bolted into a block, not cemented into the ground. These are just tie wired onto the post, so we could snip the wires. This would be pretty easy to disassemble, but talking to our landlord, she wants it, and it's just more for us to move. So we will go ahead and be giving her this chicken coop and run over here as well. Hello, girls. That's Miss Odette and Yasha. And Yasha is going through a pretty hard molt right now, so she's looking a little naked. My landlord, she does have a couple of goats in the yard next door. That's a goat yard, and she has 2 bucks living in there. She owns a couple acres outside of town, and her female goats are moved over there, and she's keeping her bucks in the backyard next to, or in the other side of the duplex. I feel like this yard looks so much bigger now without the garden in here. I almost forgot what it looked like when I moved in. I did unfortunately have to tear down my tomatoes that were up on this wall. They had grown all the way up to the air conditioner and then flopped back over, grew all the way back down to the ground, and then we're going back up the trellis. So it's about 8 feet up to that window. So I mean, if you stretched out those tomatoes, they would have probably reached up to the top of the house. So the soil in this bed is remarkable. The soil on the ground over there, not so much. But all of the tomatoes I did pull down and stuff into this trash bag, which I'll be taking out. It kind of saddens me that I had to tear them down while they were still really healthy, still producing tomatoes, but we want to salvage as much material as we can, and so we did pull those down so that we could keep the cattle panel that was leaning up against the house right here, to take with us to go and make a chicken run today at the other house. And I'm going to talk to her about this plant, which she can keep or not. This is one big arugula plant that's growing out and over. This arugula plant is over 2 years old, and it has times of the year where it really peaks and provides like really yummy arugula. Right now it's kind of in its flowering stage, and the flowers smell like honey. They smell so fragrant and good, and it's putting off a bunch of arugula seeds. And so if she wants, she could totally just leave it here and put it up into the garden bed and have some arugula. So that's kind of one of the only plants I'm leaving. I am leaving a lemon balm and a catnip right there as well. As we were pulling out our beds yesterday, we did get a few tomatoes that I harvested and some potatoes out of one of the beds. So not really even enough for a meal, but I thought I'm gonna take them and maybe we'll add them to a meal or something. I took a picture and I'll have to show you guys here, but we had some massive grubs in the olive flower pots that we were growing the olive trees in. Like, these grubs were like that thick around and really long, and we fed all of the grubs and beetles that we pulled out of that pot to the chickens. But we noticed that the raised beds that we think may have had herbicide damage did not have any grubs in them. So that kind of shows you guys a lot. We don't like grubs in the garden because they eat the roots of our plants, but I'm gonna take that and their presence as an indicator of good quality soil in the beds with the olive trees. So coming into the house, I thought I would show you guys what my apartment looks like. I still have to really deep clean in here, but let's take a look. So as soon as we walk in the door, this is the bedroom door. And we come in. I had to get a ladder to get my little mirror attic space cleared out. But it has a closet, and then there's the water heater closet and another closet up there. And this is the bedroom. It's actually a really large bedroom. It's like a 18 by 12 or 18 by 14 or something like that. And I remember, I'm thinking back as right now I was pulling down the curtains and the windows, and I was remembering the feeling of when I moved in here. And I just remember loving how much window and light came in, like how many windows and how much natural light came into this house, because the last house that I lived in had smaller windows, really high ceilings, but I felt like it was a nice breath of fresh air starting over. I moved into this house a couple of years, going on 3 years ago, and next month it'll be 3 years that I've lived here. So I moved in kind of easing into winter at the end of fall, and I just remember having the windows open and it just being so fresh and nice in here. And kind of the state of when I moved in, these are not curtains. I couldn't even afford curtains for my windows. So this is literally the sheet off of my old bed from my old house, where it was just a king size bed sheet that I ripped into the size of the windows. And I bought the curtain rods. I had enough money for that, but look at this. I didn't even sew this together. I literally used bobby pins to clip this on. So it was literally like as cheap as a safety pin. It's literally about as cheap of a curtain as you could possibly go. Semi see-through, still let the light in. One of my favorite colors, but that is literally how it was when I moved into this house. I couldn't even afford curtains for my windows. I mean, us buying land and moving into that property together is beyond my wildest imaginations. I've always dreamed of having a homestead, a place, a piece of land that we could call our own. And yes, like, it's always good to dream big and to set goals for yourself, but it's one of those things that I never really actually thought was achievable. Something you always hope for and think, man, I wish one day. And here we are. I never would have thought that we would be here right now. Moving out of this house onto our 5-acre property where we have a home that we can already stay. I mean, in the moment, us building the shop, us building the RV port, us building the road to get onto the property, cutting those mesquite trees down and wood chipping them, it seems like a lot, and it has been an immense amount of work. And I feel like Josh and I are our biggest critics. We're sitting here thinking, you know, it's taking so long for us to get moved out. and we're thinking it's taking so long, every project. But you look back and we bought that property June 14th, and today is September 29th, and wow, like, I'm really proud of us. I feel like we have done a great job. You know, we weren't planning on moving out that quick, and when we discovered the mold in this house, it really just solidified that we were making the right moves in the right direction for our lives, and we have made it happen, and I'm really proud of ourselves. I'm actually gonna leave these. I don't know why I'm like screwing it smaller. I'm gonna leave these so that the next tenant doesn't have to buy curtain rods. Stay. Let that fresh air in. We were talking to our landlord, and she mentioned that there used to be a mold problem here. And with her saying there used to be a mold problem here and seeing what her mold remediation is now, which is basically nothing, stop the water leak and let it dry out, I think that there has been mold in this house for a very long time. And I don't think that that's exactly what's going on with me. I feel like that's a part of it, and it's definitely not helping. But we had my very close friend Jean helping us move out this weekend. She dedicated a lot of her time to helping us pack up boxes, load up vehicles, go out, unload at the property, and she had a very acute respiratory response to being in this house this weekend. And you know, Josh and I have been not feeling great for a very long time, about as long as I can remember. And I feel like this house is a big part of that. So we're really hoping that moving out to the property full time, our health will improve. Not going into the details, but yesterday when she was over here and the day before when she was over here, she was not feeling well by just simply being in this house. And I feel like Josh and I maybe have not even noticed as much anymore. We built up some kind of resistance, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of like night and day seeing her come in super healthy on Friday, work with us Friday, work with us Saturday, and be feeling like garbage, you know, when she's working here in the property, like working in this house. So it's time to move on. Looking at, I still need to definitely clean in here, but just looking at the floors, look at the cracks in the floors. You can see, I don't know if you could see on the camera, but this floor is wavy and bowed up over here. It's bowed down right here. It literally has a big sag right there. You can see here where there's nails nailing this floor down. This has come up through the nails, and you can see the floor is like really bowed up and squishy. When we had a water leak, that was back in July, and this coming week we're going to be in October, and we have the hole in the front of the house over here, and the insulation is still exposed, the drywall still exposed, and I feel like these floors have just gotten worse, more warping, the grout's coming out. We haven't been feeling very great. So anyway, for a while now, Josh and I have not been sleeping here. So I feel like my cat, for the past couple of years, he's had respiratory issues, and we just thought it was allergies. So we've been changing his diet. And he still has had recurrent respiratory things going on, and I'm wondering if this house played a part in that. So he looks great. He's really healthy out at the shop, and we couldn't be happier. I mean, going into the bathroom, Looking at the tile, all of the grout has broken just from moisture up in the floor. Like all of that tile. Back here, we had mold growing up the wall, and we sprayed bleach on this, and so it has turned a different color, but this was like black and green coming up the wall. When we stepped here, water used to come up out of the floor. There's literally a trampoline right here. And this is my living room and kitchen. And then this is our pantry, and there was mold up in here. There's still mold there. There's mold under the seams of all of these tiles. And Gwen mentioned to my landlord, it's, oh, well, let's leave the hole in the front of the house open and let it air out. There's exposed insulation at that hole, and there's drywall that goes all the way to the ground, so it basically will absorb water like a wick. So I'm gonna get to it, you guys. Cleaning up. I still have my little seed cart to go through. I just want to take out all the drawers and vacuum it out, so we're transferring a clean seed rack there. And then this is all my cleaning supplies, so we're gonna get to it. I say we, I'm gonna get to it. What an all-day feat. I feel like cleaning an empty apartment I thought was only gonna take me like 2 or 3 hours. I think I'm on like 4 hours in now. We're still working. So far, I have gotten on the ladder and I swept off the tops of these, swept the faces and the insides of all the cabinets. I still need to go and wipe them out. And then I'm kind of working my way down. In this room, I have already vacuumed and cleaned the filters on the air conditioner, wiped out the windowsills. The only thing left in this room I need to do is vacuum and clean off the drawers of our seed trays so that I can get these out of here. I really love my little seed collection. I have different shelves for different types of fruits and vegetables and things. And then these are all a bag of seeds that I collected locally, like foraged for seeds, just local. Native plants, and I haven't organized them yet, but I do have these little seed packages that I like carry around with me that I can save seeds from different, you know, places like desert willows, asparagus seeds, you know, all kinds of random things. And then sometimes I also fill up just random baggies and write on them what they are. Like this is native Greg's mist flower. And anyway, so I'm gonna go through because all of these are pretty dusty and hairy. Get those all cleaned out. We don't want to move dirt and dust with us where we go. And then I've also gone into the bedroom and I kind of wiped and washed the walls from furniture that was up against the walls, so those look nice, and dusted our baseboards. And I also cleaned the windows. In the shower, I spent a good amount of time scrubbing the shower. I probably used a whole can of soap scum remover. And I do know, like, we have, the shower is not sealed at the bottom, so when they put in the shower on top of the pan, I don't believe it was done correctly, and so it's pretty gross at the seam, and I honestly don't think there's any fixing that. I think they're gonna need a new shower. Cleaned the sink and mirror. I cleaned these walls. The walls themselves are pretty defective as far as paint goes. I think it needs a whole coat of paint, which we knew when I moved in, it needed a paint job in this room and it didn't get painted. And so that's just something that I think they can do, landlord. I scrubbed the tar out of this toilet. It's the cleanest it's ever been. And cleaned the window. So we are moving right on along. I'm a clean person, maybe a little bit OCD, but holy moly, there's a lot of hair and dust and all kinds of things, dirt in areas that you would never think there would be. So then next, we're just gonna go in and I'll probably bring the ladder and clean out these. Look at that. Is that mold? I think so. Well, it's not my problem anymore, is it? I haven't opened this cabinet in like a month because I already moved everything out. But that was not like that last time I opened this cabinet. Gosh darn it. I'll probably get on my ladder and spray some bleach water up there. Hopefully help keep it from spreading any more than it is, but probably will. We already got these emptied out. So I'll probably get up on the ladder and just wipe it out, make sure it's all disinfected up there. And the same thing with the closet. Probably dust these louvers a little bit and get in with a good mopping and dusting around. And I think we will call it a day and get out of here. I need to go, and once I'm done with this, I'm gonna get back to the property and see where Josh is at with the chicken coop and run. That way we can get our girls moved over to the property as well. We did have our friend Bobby come over and help us move the Reachin like deep freezers. We have 2 of those. It was a little bit heavy for me to move with Josh, so we had Bobby come over to help him move those the other day. And I feel like we've been really trying to manage the mold as best we can. Obviously, I feel like it needs like professional help here, but he said he came in the other day and the smell of mold just like hit him in the face, punched him as he walked in the door. And I feel like maybe Josh and I are becoming immune to the smell, or we're desensitized to it, because I know like when I'm in the bathroom, I think it smells like mold, but largely when I walk in the front door anymore, I don't really smell it anymore. So that kind of, again, another nail in the coffin that we have made the right choice by getting out of here. So I'm gonna keep on cleaning. We're almost done, just a little bit more, final push. We will get out of this place once and for all. All right, at the end of another full day, I do still need to tidy up this porch just a little bit. And I'm going to mop, and then we're gonna be locking it up. I did do a walkthrough with my landlord just a few minutes ago, and she is very happy with the way that everything looks. Guess I should go ahead and close these windows since I'll be mopping my way out. It's looking really good. All I've got to do is mop. What a chapter. I'm so thankful for finding this place when I did. I really needed a low budget apartment to live in, and it was plenty big. I do wish we didn't run into the mold issues, but other than that, you know, this really was a gift living here for the almost 3 years that I did. So it's bittersweet. I'm definitely excited for bigger and brighter things. We got the fridge all cleaned out. It looks brand new. All right, guys, I'm gonna get mopping and get out of here. You know, today was a very introspective day for me. I spent all day long cleaning this place, and it just brings me back to when the last time it was this empty. I was moving in, and this really came at a time when I needed a place to stay, and it really was a period of huge growth for me as a person. You know, I think back to the person I was moving in, and 3 years ago, I remember I had just bought a car. I was getting over a divorce, a massive shift in my lifestyle and dynamic. And I can remember moving in here and my goals for myself, because I do, like, every now and then I'll check in and I'll set dreams for my future. And when I moved into this apartment 3 years ago, I was thinking, okay, I have a 5-year loan on my car. When I get my car paid off, my goal was to start looking for land and to buy a piece of land, and I was going to buy a tiny house for just myself. And I was planning on really taking a lot of time to grow as a person and learn to have more grace with myself and kindness towards myself, and really learn to find myself and love myself. And I feel like moving into this place and living alone for a while, I found that. And then when I wasn't expecting it, wasn't looking for love, was really happy in navigating single life. Learning just to be present and mindful and really take care of myself. Josh found me. And it was just the craziest thing. I really feel like, on a very deep level, things have just been really meant to be lately. I feel like before, when I was living at my last house in town, I was kind of stuck in a life that I felt like I was in limbo, waiting to start living. And really, like, coming into my last house, I feel like I became a gardener and really started to find hobbies that I enjoy and love, and really finding out who I am. But my lifestyle at the last house didn't match up in harmony with who I was as a person. And I feel like moving here, yes, there's some negatives, the mold. Yes, there's some negatives about, you know, the yard that we live in, not being tidy, and a lot of things that we would have to compromise on living here. But it was within my budget. It was within my budget, and it really was just enough space for me. And it's just so interesting coming back and thinking, like, I can't believe I spent 3 years of my life here, but they're 3 of the best years. And so it is bittersweet. We're super excited to move on to the next chapter where my dreams are coming true. So 3 years ago, my 5-year plan was to pay off my car and start looking for land and to buy a house. And we've surpassed that 20-fold, 50-fold, 100-fold. We have 5 acres. I had thought to myself, you know, that I would never actually have land to call my own. I feel like I've always had this dream to be a homesteader and be as sufficient as possible, self-reliant, and it's just so neat that we're coming up on that dream really fast. And it's kind of hard at the same time, because when you accomplish everything that you've dreamed of, it's time to dream bigger and come up with a new dream. And we have been pushing so hard, and I think now going into the winter months is going to be a great period of rest. We did a 30-day build on our house, our shop. It's not our real house, like we're gonna be living in it as a house while we build our house, but for all intents and purposes, we built our home in 30 days. So what do the next few months look like? I think that the next few months are going to include a lot of organizing and packing, unpacking, going through some of the stuff we packed, and we really moved very quickly. So we'll be going back and looking at how necessary some of the things are that we moved with us, and maybe, I think a yard sale is coming up in my future. And really minimalizing, simplifying, and taking a break and really breathing and resting and recovering from this big push that we've done. We also have a lot of projects coming up. We want to cultivate the leach field into a yard. We want to get into meat rabbits. We would like to get our garden going at the property. We also want to build a pasture that we can have dairy goats. We're going to be building an orchard, you know, winterizing the RV so that it's prepared for the winter. So we will definitely still have a lot of projects to do, but I just think Josh and I want to take some time to be thankful and enjoy the fruit of our labor this past month and the past 4 months, really, since we bought the property. We have not stopped. You know, my regular job, I work 9-hour days, but oftentimes I average at least half an hour of overtime every day at that job. Sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. You know, this past week, I had an hour of overtime in one day, so we work a lot. And then after work, we're putting in typically 2 to 3 hours of work on the homestead every day. And then Josh, he works his full-time job. He gets off work pretty early afternoon because he goes in early as well. He works about an 8-hour day with his full-time job, and then when he gets off work, sometimes he'll work 2 to 4 hours on contractor work on the side. And then when I get off work, by the time I get off work, he's ending his contractor work, and then he's also putting in 2 to 3 hours on the homestead every day. So really, he's putting in like 12 to 14 hours a day working, and I'm putting in, you know, 10 to 13 hours a day working. And so we're definitely going to take this time moving into this house, now that we're moved in, to really shift into a new chapter of our lives. And we are going to take on more. We are going to increase our capacity of what we are doing every day. But I think we're going to really prioritize the important things and shift our focus on how we can live mindfully and intentional, and be very intentional with our time, and try to really enjoy the connections that we have with those around us. And I'm so excited. So excited for all that this life has to offer. And I mean, I just feel blessed, and the fact that this chapter is closing and my dreams, my wildest dreams, are coming true. It just leaves me really excited and breathless in a way of what else can be in store for us. Who would have thought that cleaning a house can bring all that mushy-gushy stuff out? All right, that one's done. Well, my friends, I did make it back home to the property. I have one more load to unload tonight out of the car, and then we will officially be all moved in to the property. We will probably spend the next couple of weeks really going through all of the stuff. We basically just brought it all in and threw it on one side of the shop, so we'll begin to sort through and organize and really make it into a true home over the next few weeks. And I will keep you guys updated with projects that we're doing on the homestead. Just look at that. Beautiful sunset. One of many, many more to come. I will keep you guys updated on our chicken coop and run build. We didn't quite get it done tonight. Josh ended up coming over to the house in town and helping me finish up this evening. And so that will be a project for another day. I do have a friend who is willing to pet sit those chickens just for a couple days as we get our coop and run built. That way we don't have to really stress about getting it done, you know, right away. It is something that, you know, this is actually a pretty easy build, relatively. And so we are excited to get that done, but you know, we have to take things in what we can handle, and you can only do what you can do, and that's what you can do. So today the chicken coop and run fell a little bit short, but there's always another day and we'll get it picked back up. As far as instructions on how to build one of these hoop coops, there are so many YouTube videos out there with a tutorial on how to, so I will let them take it away and show you guys. We kind of got our idea off of several different YouTubers. One that I'm just going to point out that I thought of when I wanted to build a hoop coop is Living Traditions Homestead. There's other ones that I've seen, but there are a lot of different tutorials. All you have to do is type in the search bar on YouTube hoop coop chicken tractor, or cattle panel chicken tractor, or arched trellis chicken tractor, and you will find a lot of different versions of the same thing. In our version, we have it framed out with supports on the side. It will open and close. It is literally the height that I don't have to duck to walk into the door. So I thought that was a perk. Josh did a great job with that measurement. And we are planning on putting some kind of back on it. We don't know yet if we will be supporting with lumber or supporting with extra cattle panel fencing that we have over there, but we will have some kind of extra support over here, and then of course we will have the coop leading into it as well. We plan on hardware clothing this entire thing, and then we'll just cut a hole for the coop to lead into the run with some kind of ramp going down in there for the girls. And again, this is going to be a space where the chickens can be safe from predators during the day while we're at work. However, on days and times of the day where we are here on the property, maybe doing some chores outside, likely I will open up the door and let the girls free range so that they can explore this beautiful property as well. So I'm going to walk up here and show you guys essentially what the frame of our chicken coop is going to look like. This is going to be a static coop. In the future, we do plan on running chickens mobilely and having a mobile tractor or a mobile chicken coop that we can move around the property. But just for the interim with our 3 geriatric girls, and since we are kind of new and settling into our property, I wanted to put the chicken coop somewhere close to the house so that it would be really easy for me to go out on a daily basis and take care of them without having to really go to the far corners of the property where there may be more predators and a harder time at taking care of them and just giving ourselves one less thing to worry about as we get settled in. And this is the frame of our chicken coop. It's got an angled roof. I think we're gonna have the back where it comes off or folds down, but the back will be removable or openable so that we can get in and clean it out. Ideally, I wanted to put 1x1 hardware cloth fencing on the bottom. That way we wouldn't have to worry about cleaning the coop. But because it's static, we are going to go ahead and put a solid floor in. In the future, when we have a mobile coop, we'll put a floor that has 1x1 squares so that their poop can fall down, and as we move their coop to different areas of the yard, it'll fertilize the ground and be lower maintenance. But that is a project for another coop on another day down the line. Today we are just looking at a simple coop for our 3 chickens so that they can have somewhere safe and comfortable to live out the rest of their days of chicken retirement. I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I will go ahead and close this video out here as we've had a long weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday have all been about 12-hour days. I'm going to enjoy the sunset, kick back, and just enjoy the rest of this weekend while we can before we start another work week tomorrow. If you liked this video, give us a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That way you can stay up to date with the greatest and latest everything going on here at Reachin Reverie. Having that close call with the wild hogs the other night was a little unsettling. So Josh and I decided to have a stakeout yesterday, and we were just gonna see from a safe distance if we could see kind of the activity of the hogs, how they're moving through the property. We think now that they don't come onto the property every night, but that they have a really wide range. This area that we live in of ranchettes is hundreds of acres, and then out that way, you know, there's thousands of acres. So they probably have a really large range that they just circle through, and they only hit us a couple times a week on our property. And so Josh and I, oh man, look at the light. I love it. It's just gorgeous. Beautiful evening. So Josh and I, we actually put these chairs in the back of our dump trailer, kind of up off the ground at a safe distance. And we sat out for probably 45 minutes yesterday after dark, just watching the stars and just having a good evening, enjoying the peace and quiet and waiting to see if we could hear the hogs come through. Which, spoiler alert, they didn't, but it was still a really nice evening, and I think we're gonna do that more often. Where we live here in far western Texas in the Chihuahuan Desert is actually one of the best places to view stars. We live in a dark skies part of the world, so when you look up at the stars, of course it's not dark enough for that yet, but you can see the Milky Way and you can clearly see so many stars, and so it's really nice to take advantage of that. And I think from the safety of the dump trailer is a great way to do so. Look at Josh in the window over there being a creeper. All right.